Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a really great story for you guys that we want to get into, so you make sure you want to stick around all the way to the end. But before we get into that, make sure you guys go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Anyway, let me get into this video here. So we recently did a video just yesterday, I believe. This all obviously depends on when you're seeing this video here. But recently we did a video discussing the ratings of ESPN First Take since Max Kellerman left the show. Since Max Kellerman has left that show, the ratings, at least in the first week, have seen a bit of a dip, right? They've dropped and they've been trailing some of the other shows that they have at ESPN, like Get Up, PTI, Around the Horn, NFL Live, and other shows, right? So there's been an effect, a negative effect. In this case, we're talking about ratings of since removing Max Kellerman and making that decision to get rid of him on that show. I spoke about the fact how I thought it would be a bad idea to remove Max Kellerman from that show. And I always felt as if, and I said this in many videos prior, before a lot of this information came out, before a lot of these things that I'm about to read came out, I always felt as if Stephen A. Smith was intimidated by Max Kellerman. I said that on many occasions. I think sometimes that's even been shown on TV, where they would make a debate, like they'll make a joke like, aha, Ivy League educated, ha ha ha, Max Kellerman, Columbia, ha 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 ha. Behind, as I say, behind every joke, there's a little bit of truth. So there's always been that kind of percolating in the background. I've said that I believe that Max Kellerman based a lot of his arguments in analytics, right? He was a very analytical guy, whereas Stephen A. Smith, I believe a lot of his arguments were driven by emotion. There's a lot of the times where he will make like a picks, he'll make predictions, as for example, in the playoffs, right? Or whatever game, he will say, my mind is telling me this, but my heart is telling me to go with this, right? There's a lot of that that has happened over the past and has led him to make some bad picks when we're talking about sports. Is one of the reasons just last season, where Stephen A. Smith, in the middle of a play, I think it was like after 2 games, think about this, after 2 games in the Western Conference semifinals against the Clippers and against the Utah Jazz, Stephen A. Smith came out and said, Donovan Mitchell is better than Karl Malone. And I was like, what? Y'all know who Karl Malone is? Like, what are we even discussing right now? The guy that has a statue outside the building, one of the 50 greatest players of all time. I think he averaged a double-double for his career. I think he's the number 2 scorer in the history of basketball. He's better than that Karl Malone after what? 2 series? Guy that's never even made it to the NBA Finals, not even one time, Western Conference Finals, and all of a sudden you're saying that this guy is better than Karl Malone because what? You were watching the game, you eating some popcorn, you got excited, and you drink spilled on your lap, and you said, oh, this guy's better. Like, what are we talking about here, right? So Stephen A. Smith has been prone to make these type of statements. However, as I said, back to my original point, that I thought that he was a little bit intimidated by Max Kellerman, there was an article that came out that I'm going to read here from, from Outkick. And there's some pretty interesting things in this article that I want to read for you guys, that I'm going to give you guys my thoughts. So let me just read here. It says in the article, as we previously reported previously, Smith's issue with Kellerman had more to do with Smith's ego than Kellerman's skills. Sources say Smith had several issues with Kellerman as a co-host. Smith felt Kellerman did not routinely take a defensive stance in a debate. When Smith co-hosted First Take with Skip Bayless, Skip would take one side, and Smith would take one side, and Bayless would take another side. Next, they would defend their positions by cutting animated promos. Smith enjoyed this; it elevated him to the face of ESPN. Second, Smith will never admit this. Kellerman is more intelligent than he is. Finally, Stephen A. Smith didn't respect Kellerman as an equal. Aside from Skip Bayless and Michael Wilbon, Smith doesn't think anyone else is on his level. Thus, to appease Smith, Roberts will replace Kellerman with a rotation of analysts rather than a single partner. There was a lot that was said in this article here. A lot was said in this article, and a lot of these things here that I want to unpack here. First of all, I am not the least bit surprised by anything I just read. Not at all. Why? Because it was evident. It was very clear to me. Listen, Max Kellerman was a sharp guy, is a sharp guy. And you can tell by the way he carried himself, the way he spoke, the way he sat up, his demeanor, all of these different things. You can tell that Max Kellerman was a very, very, he was a very smart guy, and he was fully aware of his own gifts and abilities. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. If you're smart, if you're intelligent, there's nothing wrong with owning up to that, right? You look at Marcellus Wiley. Marcellus Wiley on Speak for Yourself. Yeah, Speak for Yourself alongside Emmanuel Acho. These are two very, very sharp guys, right? Emmanuel Acho and Marcellus Wiley are very smart guys. Max Kellerman and Marcellus Wiley are both Columbia educated. These are Ivy League schools, right? Columbia is one of the best schools in the world, and both of these guys attended that school. So these guys are very educated, right? And they have a lot of confidence in their abilities to reason, make arguments, etc. But it just doesn't stop at education and schooling, right? There are a lot of people that are confident for other reasons. Some people are confident because maybe they're very, very good in business, right? A lot of business people, you meet them, they're very, very confident, right? Because once you're successful and you understand how to, make money and all of these different things, it gives you a certain level of confidence. Other people may be confident because they're very good at their profession. Maybe you're a good basketball player. Maybe you're a good accountant. Maybe you're a good investment banker. Maybe you're a good neurosurgeon, whatever the case is, right? This is something that's not unique to Max Kellerman. People are confident, and I don't think there's anything, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just believe that Stephen A. Smith felt insecure. I think that Stephen A. Smith is one of these people that feels insecure if he's not the smartest guy in the room. There are people like that. There are people that only feel good when they're the smartest person around. In some cases, there are people that feel good only when they're the best looking person around. Some people get very uncomfortable when they're in a room full of other good looking people. They feel a type of way. And the funniest thing is, they themselves can be beautiful, but they'll still feel a way. They'll still feel a level of insecurity about themselves because someone else is beautiful, or maybe someone else thinks that person may be more attractive than that. There are people like that, right? And I think in this state, and I think the irony of this particular story is that Stephen A. Smith is actually more successful than Max Kellerman. If we're talking about sports media, Stephen A. Smith is at the top. If we're talking about sports analysts, he earns the most money. The guy's making about $1 million a month, right? So you're already more successful than Max Kellerman. If we're talking about your place in the industry, in the business, you're already at the top, right? There's no one above Stephen A. Smith. Maybe no. I think he earns more than Skip Bayless, right? You're at the top of the mountain, and nevertheless, you still feel a little bit insecure about Max Kellerman. I think that's very strange, and I think it's quite sad, right? I think it's quite sad. But this article and everything that I read in it, I believe every single thing because I already thought these things were already true. I already thought these things were true, and I think the reason the president of ESPN or president of the show, whoever it was, decided to get rid of Max Kellerman was simply just to pacify the fragile ego of Stephen A. Smith. I think that's all it was. I think if we peel back the onion and we get to the core of this issue, I believe that was the problem. How do I know this? Because if the shoe on the other foot, right? If Stephen A. Smith was in Max Kellerman's position, because remember, Stephen A. Smith vouched for Max Kellerman. If the shoe was on the other foot and Max Kellerman was the one that vouched for Stephen A. Smith, and Stephen A. Smith was in the secondary position on the show, do you think that Stephen A. Smith would have made waves with Max Kellerman if Max Kellerman were the boss? No, he would have simply dealt with it. But given the fact that he was in a power seat, and he had the ability to get that guy removed from the show, he took full advantage of it. I think it all comes down to his ego. Had nothing to do with making money, had nothing to do with making the show more refreshing, because now the show, in my opinion, has gotten worse. It has not improved. I'm sorry, I don't watch ESPN First Take at all. I rarely watch it. All I watch is Undisputed, a little bit of First Things First, Speak for Yourself if I can catch some episodes, but I don't watch it anymore. And I think that everything that this article just basically said that I just read, I believe all of it because it's something I always thought to begin with. So what I want to know from you guys is, number one, what do you think about some of the things that were said in this article? What do you think about some of the things that I've said? And what are your general thoughts about the situation? I guess as we bring it to a close, whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro, wishing you guys an amazing day and catch you guys on the next episode.